Hey everybody, this is Perch. What's the biggest problem in comics? Well, I mean, lots of them. So, viewer writes in, says, "Hey Perch, what's the biggest problem in comics? Surprise me." Okay, I'll surprise you. We've talked a lot about cost. We've talked about distribution. We've talked about art. Lots of people have talked about social issues. I've talked about some of those social issues. Lots and lots of different problems in comics. But let me give you a different angle here. I'm going to give you a problem in comics that I think is preventing things from getting better. So there's lots of problems. This is specifically a problem that is getting in the way of improvement. And so here's my opinion on this. It's ego. It's flat ego. If there's one thing that has been pretty consistent in comics that has existed, if you've been a retailer, if you've been in comics on the outside, but on the inside simultaneously, and that's where a lot of retailers find themselves. They're not on the inside. They're not there making decisions at the publisher, but they know a lot of people at the publisher. They, hear a lot of the stories, and ultimately they're where the rubber meets the road. They're the people who have to go sell these things. So those people tend to get it faster than others. Or, they're not on the inside. They have insights that are super valuable. If you look at other industries, they will often pay people who are kind of what they call key account learners or key account leaders, who are going to look at comics not comics, whatever the business is, and give them insights. And the value is they know enough about the industry to be dangerous, but they're not inside of it. So therefore, their point of view is coming from an unfiltered, unbiased state. You can learn a lot from them. And this is kind of the space that retailers operate when looking at the publisher. Now, it bears saying that the retailers have an absolute crap ability to look at their own problems, in part because they're, too insular, and in part because of, just unwillingness to change and a million other things. But anyway, ego is a long-standing problem in comics. Ego is what causes publishers to double down on bad decisions that everybody knows is a bad decision, but they do it anyway because they don't know any better, or why not? And it is pervasive within comics. It is absolutely indicative of so many things that it prevents natural steps forward. There's been lots of people. There's the thing about comics. There's been no shortage of good ideas. People have had lots of ways to kind of change the industry, do different things, get better pay into creators' hands, get better comics out, figure out a way to diversify your line in a way that, leans towards genres and not Twitter, but there's been a lot of great ideas in comics, but ego gets in the way. Here's a hard truth to, a number of the comic creators who are listening to this right now. By and large, most of you are seen as arrogant. You're seen as full of yourself. You're seen as somebody who tends to just be a little bit obnoxious with your opinion, not humble. Somebody who is, and you see this pop up in weird and fascinating ways. And it's unfortunately, it's very much a problem throughout the industry. Look at, and even people who are auxiliary, well, not even auxiliary, bottom feeders in the industry, like Rich Johnston, bottom feeder. You look at bottom feeder, you'll see Rich. But you look at him and you look at the way he portrays himself on Twitter. When somebody corrects a story, he acts huffy and arrogant, like, well, you don't really know. I know what he acts like a jackass. He acts like somebody who has a out of control ego. So for the moment, forget about the fights and everything that are going on with like Mark Brooks and Gabe. Forget about kind of what they're saying. Forget about the background to what they're saying. And instead, just notice how they're talking about themselves and the other person. If you saw a person like this in real life, they just sound like jackasses. So the biggest inflated ego in the world. Comics is one of the few places where people can, without irony, say, I'm the best, I'm a most brilliant, wonderful person in all of comics. And they mean it. It's bizarre. Honestly, I've been around lots and lots of other industries. I've rubbed elbows with people in different parts of entertainment. I've talked to people, people in software who are legit, actual billionaires. They don't act this way. They don't walk around constantly like needing a parade. To me, it always feels like a caricature of wrestling. It's like, a majority of people in comics are all Rick the Model Martel. That's weirdly, that's how they are, including people I like. I legitimately have respect and appreciation for Rob Liefeld. I do. Look what he's done for comics. You can't deny it. You cannot say, he hasn't made an impact in this industry. He absolutely has. No doubt about it. He's arrogant. It comes across in the tweets. What's kind of a little heartbreaking is every now and then I talked to a creator. I was talking to one about 2 weeks ago. And the guy's like, people think I've got a big ego. Like, you do. Look how you come across. And, we're all joking with each other. It's like, no, that's not true. I'm like, let me read you this thing you posted here on Twitter where you said, I don't know about you guys, but every now and then I look at a page of my own artwork and I say, God damn, I'm good. You wrote that and you published it. I mean, I appreciate taking pride in your work, but you do know how that sounds, right? Like read it to yourself. I mean, my God. But it's not just creators. It's people within comics. When you say things like, "Hey, this comic costs too much. Hey, maybe rebooting all the time is not a good idea. Hey, maybe cost a limited series, 5-issue, 4-issue, whatever it happens to be, limited series are a bad idea." When you say things like that, if the person you're talking to has a massive ego, they don't take what you're saying as, this could be interesting advice. This could be an interesting data point. I should consider this. They don't think about it that way. Instead, they think about it like this. I know what I'm doing. Fuck this guy. That's what they're doing. Look at, I hate to go back to Rich Johnson, but look at some of the news people when they post something that's obviously phony. I mean, for Christ's sake, Rich pulled the whole DC's True 5G plan out of his ass. He absolutely fucking did. I'm sorry, he did. You have to absolutely be disingenuous and dumb to believe that he was onto something and he actually had, it could be true. No, it could not. Just read it and use common sense. And yet, this is a guy who's gone back to that well at least 20 times to try and prove somehow that this speculation on his part was truth. He can't let it go. Why? Because of ego. Why? So if you're telling me what the biggest problem in comics is, and I'm answering the question a different way, the biggest problem is keeping things from changing. It's ego. It's ego that's causing people to go, well, yeah, the several comics that should be selling in the over 100,000 copies are selling in the low 20s. But I know what I'm doing because I am a genius and smart and good. So therefore, I will use mental gymnastics to come up with reasons why I'm still succeeding, even though I am clearly not. Clearly. That's a problem with comics. Ego. I'm telling you, it's absolutely ego. So, how do you solve this? I mean, bluntly, you would think some humble pie would kind of do it for people. Some people like apple pie. Some people like pecan pie. I'm a cherry pie man myself. But some humble pie, you would think. Yes, thank you. I'm here all night. You would think that seeing these kinds of numbers put in people's faces would work, but no. The social media network has caused people to insulate themselves from basic recognition that you're off track. And by the way, if you go to any company that is legit and actually doing good by the employees, one of the things they'll do is they'll say, learn to acknowledge your mistakes, fail fast, figure out, what you did wrong and then do better next time. This is a normal human trait. This is a good thing. A bad thing is ignoring those impulses, which comics does all the time. So, yeah, what are you going to do? Anyway, that's my answer. Ego. Thanks for listening.